non più tra i farfalloni amoroso, notte e giorno di
Kirsty, welcome back to Upside Down Books and welcome to September. I can't believe I've been doing this for this long in the year now. It's actually the 5th of September today, and I literally only just realized that I forgot to film a check-in and introduction to this video. So it's about 9:30 at night on the 5th of September, and I have actually already finished my first book. So I finished reading Six Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim, and it was fabulous. I rated it 5 stars and I read it really, really quickly. I attempted to read most of it on the last day of August and read about half of it, and then I had quite a busy weekend celebrating my nephew's first birthday, and then managed to polish it off after that. So that was fabulous. It was so good. It was a really lovely, fast-paced YA fantasy, quite young in the writing style, but I enjoyed the whimsy and the mythology sort of feel to it. I actually really enjoyed it because I went in quite hyped, and within the first 100 pages wasn't 100% sure it was going to be totally my thing, but it totally sold me. Once I got past the first 100 pages, things just really expanded and got cool, and so I was sold. So I've now moved on to my next read, which ironically is another book that Chris got for me, which is the same story for Six Crimson Cranes, and that is Bring Me Their Hearts by Sarah Wolf. Now this one I've heard lots of good things about from other friends who've read it. It is a YA sort of, I want to say, epic fantasy. It's about witches and what are they called? Heartless. Heartless is a kind of person whose heart has been removed and is held by that witch, and they become an indentured slave is the terminology I want to call it. So I have not read much of this yet, but I am hoping to dive into it a bit more before I go to bed tonight. I really, really hope that I love this as much as other people have, because the sass in it is so real. This is a very sassy book, so it's just what I'm in the mood to read. The 10th of it's the 11th of September today, and I'm at home with my bookshelf, my babies, and I miss them so much. Look at them, look at the magnificent, I love that it's taller than me now. I've just taken photos for the next 2 weeks, which is really satisfying to do because I've just gone a couple of weeks sporadically without content on Instagram, which is fine, but I wanted to share, I want to take the pictures of my books, and this has been sad to not have the time, so glad I did this week. I've also created a new backdrop, which is really exciting, and you'll see that in my new Instagram pictures if you follow me there. So it's coming up to 2 p.m. in the afternoon, so I think I'm going to pause, have a cup of tea, and enjoy reading more of Bring Me Their Hearts. I have probably not much more than 100 pages to go of it, so I'm hoping to really sit down, have a good read of that, and finish that today. Then I've got to read a book for work, so once those two are done, I'm looking forward to picking something new. Hey guys, welcome to the 12th of September, and I finally finished the book. Yay, book 2 for the month. But I did finish reading Bring Me Their Hearts by Sarah Wolf, and holy guacamole, it was fabulous. I've had a really good run of the 2 books that I've read this month. The first one being Six Crimson Cranes, and this one now being Bring Me Their Hearts. It was just it was so good. I have heard so many good things about it, and I've been endlessly recommended it, and I'm so glad I finally read it. So hats off to Chris for having got me both of those books, and his book taste turning out very well. It is a Monday morning and we are way far into the month for like me finishing book 2 than I would be happy with, but you know, c'est la vie. So the plan is I'm going to start reading the Jacaranda Bookshop. Let me get a copy. So the next book I'm going to be reading is one for work, and it's called The Bookshop on Jacaranda Street. So I am really excited to read a book about bookstores. So I'm going to be trying to read that and get through that reasonably quickly. It's quite a short book, and then I really don't know what I'll be reading next, but I'm really excited about all my options. I have just 1 week left in this house now, so routine is imminently going to go back to normal, which I'm getting really excited about. But the point of this check-in is for me to say, if you haven't got Bring Me Their Hearts on your radar, then you should definitely add it, because it is a fabulous read about witches and enemies to lovers sort of trope, and ends on such a wicked cliffhanger. So I am going to be wanting to get book 2 as soon as I can. It's later on the same day, and I just wanted to check in to say that tonight's goal is going to be reading as much of this as I can tonight. So I've just like started and read the first 10 pages on my lunch break today. And right now I'm just going to do a little bit of exercise and probably get dinner on the way. And then I'm going to try and do like an actual, like maybe a skim read of this. I'm not going to spend too much time with it. I'm really excited to get onto my other books. And because I'm just reading this for work, I'm essentially reading it because I need to know what the story is to be able to do stuff at work with it. And so it doesn't need to be an in-depth read. So I'm hoping that in about an hour's time, I'm hoping that I'll be ready to sit down and really enjoy the book and just like smash through it in about an hour. 9:15 in the evening now, and I am halfway through. It doesn't look like it because I've been tabbing it, so that side looks bigger, but I am halfway through the Jacaranda Bookshop. The bookshop on Jacaranda Street. I keep calling it the Jacaranda Bookshop. I'm having an immense amount of fun tabbing this up. This is all just notes for me, so that when I'm at work tomorrow, hopefully having finished this, I can look back on my notes and know what I need to do with this, but it's actually really fun to do, and I'm enjoying it so far, so maybe I can actually read this all tonight. Wouldn't that be exciting? I did it. I'm so pleased with myself. I'm so proud. It's been a really long time since I read a whole book in a day, let alone like in an evening. That took 3 hours exactly to read a 300-page book. This does not look like 300 pages, but this is actually a 300-page book. So yay, so glad I did that. So huzzah, that is one job done. Very enjoyable, can recommend. Which means that I am free to pick, oh my god, I'm free to pick a new book tomorrow. It's so refreshing to read a book in like one day versus a week or two. What am I going to read next? So I decided to re-pick up A Court of Silver Flames. I'm finally going to finish this book. That was my next choice. So I have been about 180 pages into this for about a year since it came out. And I'm now 210 pages in. So we've read 30 pages. But yeah, I think it's probably time to finish this one off. I immediately began this and it was a spicy scene. So I've got to like get in the mode and the mood to be mentally prepared to deal with just how spicy Sarah J Maas's writing can get sometimes, but I'm excited. I think it's gonna be a fun time. It's Wednesday night now. Well, it's not night yet. It's like 5 p.m. and I'm just back from work. I'm about to go for a walk. It's very windy today, and I'm gonna listen to The Pariah. I'm about 30% through, but I haven't been listening to it all that much over the last probably week or so. So I'm going to go for a little walk now so I can get some listening in and progress in the story. I'm finding it a little hard to keep up exactly with everything that's going on. It's started out like really strongly, but I wonder if this book might be better read rather than listened to. It's just, I don't know what it is. I'm finding it hard to soak in, but I am enjoying the general premise. I'm hoping that as I get further into it, I'll sort of pick it up a bit better and be able to really properly enjoy it. And then tonight I think I will try and get at least halfway through A Court of Silver Flames. It is an enormous amount of the book is dedicated to smutty scenes and sex scenes, a lot more than I was expecting. So I'm curious to see how that book goes. I'm actually worried that I won't enjoy it as much just because it's just taking up pages. It's not really progressing the plot in any meaningful way. So I'll have to keep you updated on my thoughts as I get through A Court of Silver Flames. Later that day, I haven't read any more of Court of Silver Flames yet, but I have listened to more of The Pariah. I just keep tuning out. I feel really bad about this book, but I keep tuning out. And I'm trying to decide if it's just because the story hasn't really got started yet. Sort of like a Robin Hood-esque tale. And I feel like the true purpose of the narrative just is about to arrive. But anyway, I'm still just struggling to not just zone out and then forget what's going on. So yeah, there's that. There are so many new releases coming out at the moment. I've got them all flagged down in my diary, and it is taking all of my willpower to be okay with the fact that I don't have these. I'm trying so hard to stick to my little book buying schedule thing, which I'm thinking of doing a whole video about, where I have to read 2 to buy 1. And it's keeping me really motivated, but I have to do so much reading to make way for all of the subscriptions I have coming. And it means I can't buy things like Defend the Dawn or the sequel to Six Crimson Cranes, or what else came out today? Stephen King's new book. There's so many new things coming out that I want. 15th of September, halfway through A Court of Silver Flames. I'm enjoying the plot when it arrives. Otherwise, I'm wading through lots of smutty scenes, and I'm not overly impressed with that. Call me a prude old lady. Call me a prude old lady, but I do like some plot with my books. I'm also halfway through, or very close to halfway through, The Pariah now. I've also not got a lot of idea of what's going on in that one. I'm really struggling, as I said the other day, to hold on to that plot line, and I'm trying so hard when I'm driving to like pay attention, but like I kind of understand what's going on, but I'm also like, who's this person? Why are they there? Are they prisoners, or are they not prisoners? I'm failing myself. I'm really trying to work. I've actually slowed my audiobook down so I can listen to it at a slower speed, to see if that helps. Otherwise, I feel like I will like The Pariah. I might read reviews when I finish it to see if other people struggled. But if loads of other people have loved it, I might try actually rereading it in physical format, because there's just something, I don't know if it's just the particular narrator that's just like not gelling with how my brain works, but I'm just struggling to process it. Welcome to the 19th of September, and indeedly do the Queen's funeral day. I look so disheveled, considering I have not done anything disheveling today. But it is currently 10 to 5. I love how close to work I am right now, the fact that I'm home at 10 to 5 on an Udi. Anyway, last few days of that, by the way. I will be back home by the end of this week. So I will be mourning the loss of my short commute, but that's okay. It's been a great 9 weeks. Anyway, back to business. I finished A Court of Silver Flames. We didn't love it, fam. We didn't love it. I rated it 2 stars. It just wasn't my cup of tea. My full review is up for this on my blog if you would rather read about it. I think I might do a review, but I'm not really sure. I don't know. It was really cringe. It was boring. Loads of reviews say the same sort of stuff. The plot is just like MIA for 80% of it. The first 200 pages were okay, but it took me a year and a half to read, and the last 150 pages were okay, but a bit cliche. The rest of it was really drawn out. The sex scenes were explicit and pornographic and just honestly not very fun to read. They were pretty cringe, and they didn't really meaningfully progress the plot. Nor did they meaningfully add to the romance. The romance that happens in this book is explored only in this angsty, aggressive, objectifying sex, and then when it becomes nicer, there's no more sex scenes, and it's like, what? Why can't we have one nice sex scene? That would have helped. It was okay. I did cry. I cried in chapter 77, but yeah, look, honestly, I'm just really disappointed. Given the standards that we've come to expect from Sarah J Maas, I felt like, and I said this in my review, but I just felt like she was trying way too hard to make a point and comment on mental health in this book, and it felt like really the wrong platform to do it in. If she wanted to write another series, I'd be there for it. If she wanted to write another erotica series, I'd be there for it. But just this pivot 180 turn that she's done on the brand of this series was just wrong. So anyway, 2 stars. There we go. That means I've immediately moved on to my next read for something a bit more fun, and I've started reading The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I am 45 pages in. I don't actually know how long this one is. It looks like it'll be maybe 300 to 400 pages, and this is great. So this is my first time really reading Taylor Jenkins Reid. This reads really, really similarly to The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield, so I'm hoping that it's not so similar that I'm just like, well, that was unoriginal, but we'll see. But yeah, so far, really enjoying it. And yeah, so basically tonight, the funeral starts for the Queen in 2 hours and 45 minutes. And so I am going to try and get everything done before then. And then the rest of my evening will be probably just watching that. So I won't say it's going to be a good night, but that feels weird to say. It's my last day house sitting. I'm going home today. I'm very excited about it. So I'm packing up right now, and then I will be going home, and I'm really excited because I've got a few parcels waiting for me. I've got my next fairy loot, which is waiting to be opened. And I also just got the notification to say that Nona the Ninth has been delivered. And holy guacamole, I can't wait to read that book. My current plan is to do a reread of the whole series in October. It's like a Halloween vibe, and because I think I also would benefit from rereading the first 2 before reading Nona, so I'm really looking forward to diving into that one. So right now I am super motivated to pack up as swiftly as I can and get home to my books. So today is Thursday, and it's the 22nd of September. It's a public holiday here in Australia for a Memorial Day for the Queen, and at the moment I'm currently back home, as I've mentioned, and I'm working on my big computer, which is nice because I haven't had access to this for ages. And I'm logging all of my books. So I'm going through shelf by shelf, and I'm logging all of my books into this spreadsheet, which is something I've been meaning to do for a while. So this is taking all afternoon. I spent ages trying to work out a formula to count this all properly and get all my statistics going. So the plan is that once I've logged everything and taken everything off the shelves, this is definitely going to take more than one day. I'm actually going to try putting it back on alphabetically. The plan is to have per cube a letter, but obviously I think for some letters I'm going to need multiple ones. Just because I'm not happy with the current organisation of it. I'm not digging it. It's not looking particularly aesthetic. It's just sort of running on, there's a lot of books and that's cool. But I want to have some purpose to it. This is done by genre, and it's not working for me. It's really hard to put it's really hard to put books onto the shelf when you get new ones with genre, just because I've filled this out and then that's all my fantasy books, and then I have to put fantasy books with thrillers or something, and I'm just not liking it. So I know that I'm probably going to have a similar problem with alphabetization, but I want to give it a go and see if there's workarounds for that, or if it'll be easier to shuffle things. I'm really not sure. I don't know, but the plan is to log it all onto this spreadsheet, and then I can sort it alphabetically by name, and at least I know the order it goes on then. Plus I wanted to do this anyway. I'm not sure how else I would organise it at this point. So that's what's taken up my day today. And then I'll probably be continuing this in the evenings and on the weekend. I'm really enjoying it. Oh, and in terms of books, I'm nearly at page 200 for Evelyn Hugo now. I had thought I would finish that today, but I've been really caught up doing this. So no real progress to log for you in terms of reading. So as an update, I have made the decision to put down The Pariah. I'm just struggling with it. I read some reviews to try and hype myself up and see if everyone was loving it. I actually saw a number of reviews talking about how slow it was. So it's just been really kind of repetitive in its own way and really slow, because plot itself is very character driven. I'm just pouring myself a cup of tea. The plot itself is very character driven rather than being plot driven, and not in a way that I am enjoying. So there's all this sort of stuff that's happening that's actually quite hard to follow, because it's similar but different. So it feels like the plot resets itself a few times before it gets anywhere. And I did read somewhere that after about halfway through is when the stuff that in the blurb actually happens. So the blurb sounds very exciting, and that's not at all how the book starts out. Everything that's in the blurb is after the halfway mark. It's really odd. But I got to about 60%, and most of that actually still hadn't happened. It was at the very beginning phases of happening, and I just thought, no. But doubly so, I didn't enjoy the audiobook. The audiobook narration wasn't doing it for me. It was quite monotone, and just following the same cadence the whole way through, and it was driving me mad, and it was making it hard for me to hear. I find that when an audiobook narrator doesn't like put emotion into the way that they narrate it, I find it much harder to comprehend just by listening. So anyway, we've put that aside. I've DNF'd it. I don't think I'll revisit it in print format. I think audiobook aside, it's still not a book that is, you know, worth my time considering how many other books I have to read. So I have decided to reread Project Hail Mary and listen to that, because the audiobook was free on Audible a few months ago, which I got. One of my favorite reads from last year, and I'm 2 chapters in and I'm loving it, and it feels like the right decision because the narrator is just so animated and doing all the voices and making it like really come across well. So I'm really glad I've done that. So I'm enjoying my reread of that. And I've got the halfway mark for real in Evelyn Hugo, and I feel like I'm beginning to understand what everyone means when they talk about how it's quite an emotional read. It's very beautifully written, and it's getting me really excited about all of Taylor Jenkins Reid's other books, and I've heard people say that Evelyn Hugo isn't even their favorite out of all of her other stuff. So I have Malibu Rising, and if this is her writing style, I think she's a very talented writer, and I'm so happy that I decided to pick it up. So I am thinking that I'm going to do some reading with dinner, and see if I can finish it tonight maybe. There's a lot of reading I want to do this weekend. I've got a book for work called Bad to Worse that I want to read. Chris and I are doing a buddy read of Gallant by V.E. Schwab, and goodness knows what else I want to read, but those are next on my radar. Hello and welcome to my Monday afternoon. It's after midday now. I've got wet hair, I'm sitting in bed, and I'm enjoying my life because it's a public holiday. And I need to update you because lots of reading has happened. I finished The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and I rated it 5 stars. I thought it was really good. I thought it was really beautiful. I thought the commentary on sexuality and queer issues of the yesteryear that are still relevant today, but you know what I mean, was really well done, and I really enjoyed it. It was one of those books where I was so nervous about the hype and how much that might ruin my reading experience, but in the end I actually just ended up really enjoying it. Very enjoyable read, very worth reading. So big thumbs up from me for Evelyn Hugo. So I've now moved on to my next 3 reads. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Instead of just continuing with my 1 book rule, I am reading 3 books, but for all very good reasons. So first, I'm doing a buddy read with Chris of Gallant by V.E. Schwab. I am 50 pages in. This is like a 300-page book, and it's got some illustrations and other graphic elements of intrigue in it. So it is actually a very easy read, and just basically waiting for Chris to keep up with me. I bet I end up falling behind. Anyway, this is good so far, and this will be my 3rd V.E. Schwab book now, so I'm feeling like a veritable fan now, which is very exciting. I've then done the thing that we thought I would never actually do, and I've continued my reread of Throne of Glass. So I am probably 5 pages in to Heir of Fire, and I'm nervous because I remember reading this when it came out. It was the first book I got in hardback, and I started reading in hardback, and I don't know whether this is a mistake to continue doing so, but I am, so here we are. I found the series slowed down for me here, which is where I just gradually lost momentum over the years, because if you don't know, I'm trying to reread Throne of Glass because I am up to Tower of Dawn and Kingdom of Ash, and I just felt like I really lost my grasp on the story and was finding it hard to remember all the significant stuff that was happening. So I started rereading it probably like 2 years ago now, and I need to kind of do this a bit quicker than I am because I'm just going to forget again and then it's going to be a moot point. So Chris convinced me to just actually pick it up and read it. So I am rereading Heir of Fire, and I'm hoping that I'll have a better time with it than I did originally, because whilst I enjoyed it, I found it slow going, and it's just a really big book. So we're just being zen and we're enjoying it and we're going to get through it. So that's sort of what I'm reading alongside Gallant. But today I'm also reading Bad to Worse by Robert Edison. Now this one is a book for Works. It's a Fremantle Press book. I am currently about halfway. I'm actually more than halfway through this. There's a lot of like extra notes at the back of this that isn't technically part of, like, you can read it, but I don't know if I will. So I'm doing a bit of a speed read of this one because I do need to read it for work. So today's task, and today's current task, is to finish this off. So I am at page 135 out of 250, so I've got 100 pages to go, and I really want to keep cataloguing my books, because until I finish cataloguing my books, I can't film or take pictures because I've made a mess of my room. So that's a bit frustrating. I might have to film somewhere else, but anyway, that's a problem for a little bit later. For now, I think I'm just going to power through this, and when this is done, which will be today, I will get back to Heir of Fire until Chris catches up to me in Gallant, and I'll keep reading that. And Project Hail Mary on the audiobook is going really well. So we're just like in a real sort of controlled chaos mood. I'm not hopefully going to end up with lots of half unread books, we pray, but I am really keen. I'm really keen to get going and get through my TBR because it's starting to bother me. It's like 5 p.m. now, and I finished Bad to Worse, so that's very exciting that that's all done. And as you can see, I'm back to organising bookshelves. We're now working with a pile that's looking a little bit like this and a little bit like that. And I am just slowly logging away on my spreadsheet. We're getting close to 500 books logs now. So I think I'm probably going to have some sort of competition for final guessing of how many books I've got. But anyway, that's where I'm at now. It's really exciting to do. I've got some really fun graphs and stats. As like a belated explanation as to why there's been like a lack of content with videos for you guys. Obviously I have been house sitting, but also I can't film right now until I get all of this done. So yeah, so there's probably no filming going to happen this week. So this will probably be the next vlog you see, and then hopefully after that this will be done and we will have a room where I can actually get some filming done for you guys, which will be great. And I have my hair slicked back and I'm looking very sexy, I know. Everyone's sleeping, so I'm trying to be quiet. I don't really have many updates, but I wanted to check in. I haven't read much more since my last update because I spent a lot of my evening cataloguing my books yesterday, and I tried a new thing tonight, guys. I tried an acrobatics class and it was quite fun. Whether I go back is still undecided, but anyway, that's what I spent my evening doing today. But I wanted to check in and say that I need to try and finish 2 books before the month's out. This makes the date actually quite pertinent. It's close. We've got a few days left. I think it's the first on Friday or Saturday, and it's Tuesday. So the reason I need to finish a few more books is because of my new way of tracking my buying and my reading, which I'm going to make a video about, and that is that I read 2 in order to be able to buy 1, and my credit is currently up to 3, but my novelist subscription is coming on the 4th of October, so I need to read 2 more books to have 4 credits to keep afloat. And wait, no, I need to read 4 books. Alan Rickman's memoirs, his little diary thing's coming out either next week or the week after. I think let's tackle Novelist first and then we'll check in with the Alan Rickman thing. I think it's the 4th of October release for the UK, but it might be the 18th of October. Anyway, that's really an October problem, isn't it? I just wanted to check in to say that I'm going to be absolutely hauling ass to try and finish 2 of my current reads, which could probably be Gallant, maybe Project Hail Mary, but not likely. I'm only 2 hours in out of 16. and Kingdom of Ash, I want to say, yeah, I can do it, but that's a big book. I have been getting up at 5:30 in the mornings to sit and read in my armchair before work, literally to try and get more reading in. We've turned a bit obsessive, but that's fine. So I'll keep doing that until I'm too sleep deprived to continue. And I think that's the main things I'm reading at the moment. So I just thought I would update you that we're at the crunch period of the month where I panically try and read 100 more books as I realise that I've not read enough. Welcome to the end of another month. I've got my laptop here and I'm ready to go over with you everything that I managed to get through and do a little bit of a recap to sign off for September. I can't believe another month is done and dusted. Feels like the months are just flying by and Christmas is on the horizon. Very excited for October and everything that I've got lined up to read in October. And also excited to be back home and to have more time to film, so hopefully over the next month after this video you'll start to see a little bit more regular content again, which will be really exciting because there's so many things I want to talk about. So I ended up reading 7 books in September, which I thought was a pretty good effort. I still spent the 3.5 weeks sort of house sitting throughout September, so a lot of my time was still quite busy, as I just found myself genuinely busy whilst I was house sitting, but nonetheless I've managed to squeeze in a lot of books. I thought it was a particularly good effort just because usually my read count is higher because I have so many long commutes in the week that I am racking up the audiobooks, but whilst I was house sitting I did not have that long commute, so to still get 7 is a pretty good job. So I started my month off with 6 Crimson Cranes. It was something I started at the very end of October, at the very end of August, and then finished off in September, and I really love that. I am really looking forward to continuing this series. I think it's just going to be a duology. I haven't checked though, and that came out just this month, the beginning of October, so I cannot wait to find out what happens with the rest of that story. If you can hear the sound outside, I do apologise. Someone is pressure hosing. There's nothing I can do about that. 6 Crimson Cranes was brilliant. It was a 5-star read for me. It started out with me being a little bit hesitant, but once it got into the story I was really impressed, and I thought it was a really fun sort of mythology vibing fantasy with either Japanese or Korean roots. I can't remember which one. Something along those lines. Can't recommend it enough for my YA fantasy lovers out there. I then read Bring Me Their Hearts by Sarah Wolf, and this was brilliant. This was a 5-star read, and this was a very epic fantasy with one of the best enemies to lovers sort of trope going on that I've read in quite some time. I really, really enjoyed this, and I need to go out and get myself books 2 and 3 because I really need to know what's going to happen in this series. It ended on such a wicked cliffhanger and was brilliant. So if you haven't read this yet, then you need to go and read it right now. The next book I finished was a read for work, and that was The Bookshop on Jacaranda Street, and that one I don't rate or review any workbooks here, but that was all about sort of, a bit of a dysfunctional family and the wife going to buy a secondhand bookshop and start her own little business as a means of turning over a new leaf. So who doesn't love a book about books? I then finally finished reading A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J Maas. I did not like this, we know that. It was a 2-star read for me. I thought it was pornographic and just repetitive, slow, lacking in plot, all the things that didn't work for me. I do love Sarah J Maas though, and I'm currently rereading Throne of Glass as well, so I know that this is probably just an off book for me, and I'm hoping that whatever else comes out next will be more to my cup of tea. I've still got Crescent City to read, so I'm hoping that this is just this one-off that didn't work, but we will see. People either love or hate this, but I just don't really see what there is to like about this book. I then read another popular TikTok book, which was The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. 5-star read for me again. This was great. I was really nervous that I wouldn't like this because it is a popular TikTok book, and sometimes it's really hard to fall in love with hyped books, but this did work for me. Very compelling, very easy to read, very much so Elizabeth Taylor vibes, and just a generally good read that I would recommend to anyone looking for something that's just like a bit of fun and something that's just hard to put down but also really easy to get into. I then read another book for work. This one was Bad to Worse, and that is the title. The book was not bad to worse. Again, obviously not rating or reviewing. This one was a sort of crime with some fantastical elements to it as well. It was quite an interesting one and very witty. So if you're a crime reader, then this one might be for you. It's set in America and it sort of follows a detective trying to find answers to a very mysterious plane crash that gets involved with this bigger crime ring going on, and it's quite good. And then the last read that I managed to fit in for the month was Gallant by V.E. Schwab, and this was a 4-star read for me. I thought this was really lovely. I don't think I've checked in since I finished reading it. I thought it was really beautifully written, as I have found with the rest of Schwab's books that I've read. It's just she's very evocative with her writing in terms of sparking your imagination, and the personification of inanimate objects in this to give you that eerie sort of paranormal feel was done spectacularly well. And it is sort of a spookier read, so it's really led me nicely into the Halloween season. It's also the first book that I've read this year from a subscription box that I've got, which is pretty awful. I got this in the Novelist box, which I've said before is an Australian subscription box. But in any case, I'm pretty happy with where my reading is sitting. I feel like I had a really good run of good reads in September. I did not finish a single audiobook. I did DNF a book. I started reading The Pariah, which I talked about at the beginning of the month, and I just DNF'd it because it wasn't working for me. I've since started rereading via audiobook Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I'm about halfway through that now, and I think that that is just as good as it's ever been. I've also picked up Nona the Ninth by Tasman Muir. That's going to be my first read for October, and I am rereading Heir of Fire. So I've got a lot on my plate at the moment, and I'm looking forward to reading it all. As it currently stands, I'm 7 books ahead of my goal, so I've read 73 books out of my goal of 88 books for the year, which is how much I read last year. So I'm hoping to beat my goal last year, but I'm also secretly hoping that I might just be able to read 100 books this year. So here's to hoping that I will have a few flurries of reading over the next few months to get me a few more books ahead to hit that goal. If I'm 7 books ahead at the moment, that means I'm due to read 95, so I need to get another 5 books ahead, and I'm sure I can do this to hit the goal of 100, because that is so close to reaching such a goal I've had for such a long time. So that's everything I have for you for my September wrap up. I hope you enjoyed watching. Thanks for sticking around, and let me know in the comments down below what books you read and what books you enjoyed last month. Goodbye.
Alle gloria militar